Baccarnia recurvata, also commonly known as the elephant's foot or ponytail palm, is a unique plant with a palm-like appearance native to eastern Mexico. Interestingly, it's not actually a palm or any sort of tree. It's a succulent and is more closely related to plants in the yucca and agave families. Named after its appearance, the bulbous trunk and flowing fronds make it easily recognizable. The ponytail palm is able to withstand extended periods of little or no rainfall, as they store water in their large caudex, which looks like a tree trunk. Because of this, it's important not to overwater this plant. There are several ways to water ponytail palms. You can water over the soil with a watering can or place your plant directly under the tap. Continue adding water to the pot until it starts to run out from the drainage holes. If you have a tray under the pot when watering, make sure you remove all the collected water afterwards. Make sure the pot is fully drained before replacing your plant. To bottom water, fill a tray or bowl with water. Make sure that the soil comes into contact with the water on the tray and wait about 10 minutes. Feel the soil to see if it's absorbed enough water. If the soil is moist throughout, remove any excess water from the tray. If it's still dry, add more water to the tray and wait 20 more minutes before removing the excess. Some plants love a water bath, succulents especially. Fill a bucket with lukewarm water and lower the whole pot down into it. The water will bubble as the pot fills with water. When the bubbles stop, lift the pot up and let it drain well before replacing your plant. It's always a good idea to check on your plant about an hour after watering to make sure there isn't any standing water in the cache pot or tray. The ponytail palm, like any other plant, needs to be fertilized, but just a bit less. If your ponytail palm is registered in Planta, we will remind you when it's time to feed your plant. You can either use an all-purpose liquid fertilizer or a green plants fertilizer. Make sure to follow the instructions on the package to get the right concentration. These plants will also be happy if you use fertilizer sticks or another form of slow-release fertilizer. This type of fertilizer will release a small amount of nutrients each time you water your plant. The number of fertilizer sticks that are needed depends on the size of the pot and how concentrated the fertilizer is. Be sure to read the instructions for the one you choose. Start by moistening the soil. This will make it easier to push them down into the pot. If you have sensitive skin, be sure to wear gloves. You'll need to add more in 2 or 3 months, so if you've registered in Planta that you're using fertilizer sticks, we'll remind you when your ponytail palm needs a refill. Don't worry too much if your plant is not getting bigger. As long as its care needs are being met, it's probably just taking its time. Because of their slow growth, it can be expensive to buy a more mature plant. So if you have the patience, buying a smaller, young plant is a much more affordable way to grow a ponytail palm that will be with you for many years. As they are slow growers and don't mind being a little crowded in their pots, it is not necessary to repot every single year. They can last years in the same pot, but it's always a good idea to check on your plant to see if it needs repotting. Here are 4 signs that your ponytail palm needs to be repotted. It's wobbly, pale, or yellowing. Roots have started to grow out of the drainage holes. It's top-heavy. Water runs straight through the pot when watering without really making the soil wet. If your plant needs repotting, gently take hold of the plant and start to loosen the soil and roots. If it's very hard to get the pot off, gently run a knife around the edge of your pot to loosen it. You can also tap on the outside of the pot with a tool or on the table to remove the plant from the pot. Be sure to take a look at the roots of your plant. If anything is mushy or rotting, trim it off. If you find thick, coiled roots, you can loosen these or cut them off. Add soil to the bottom of the pot. Place the root ball in the pot so that the plant will sit a few inches below the rim. Don't place it too high or the pot could overflow when you water it. Place your plant in the center of the new pot and add soil around it. Press gently on the soil, but don't pack it too tightly. Leave about an inch from the soil to the top edge of the pot. When you finish repotting, give the plant a thorough watering. If you've watered your plant just before repotting, you might skip this step and just stick to the original watering schedule. Repotting is stressful for plants. It can take up to a month before your plant is fully recovered. During this period, you'll want to make sure that you place the plant in a bright but sheltered place. Don't feed it. The new soil is filled with nutrients. Adding fertilizer can harm the already stressed out roots. If your plant doesn't need to be repotted but the soil level is low or looking a bit tired, you can top it up with worm castings or new soil for added nutrients. These plants have narrow leaves that don't collect a lot of dust, but once every few months, it's a good idea to give your ponytail palm a cleaning. There are a few different ways you can clean your plant. Mist with a spray bottle or place the whole plant in the shower. Remember to use lukewarm water and avoid getting water in the soil if your plant doesn't need to be watered. Even succulent plants don't mind to be misted, but keep in mind that if it's in a shadier area without good airflow, you may need to wipe away excess water or turn on a fan. If you're short on time, just dust it off with a feather duster. Wiping each leaf individually takes more time, but it is a great way to give your plant a thorough looking over for pests or other issues. These plants need average humidity so they can live happily in most places. Just be sure to keep them away from radiators, which will dry out the leaves. Ideally, you should place your elephant's foot somewhere with access to bright light, although you should keep an eye on it to make sure that the leaves don't get burnt from too much direct sun. They can handle very intense light but need to be introduced slowly to prevent sunburn. All plants take a bit of time to adjust to change. If you want to move your plant to a sunnier spot, you should do so gradually to avoid shocking the plant. To do this, just move it for a few hours each day and then put it back in its original spot. Gradually increase the time over the span of a week or so to allow it to get accustomed to the change in conditions. For more care tips, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're on a mission to keep your plants alive, join us over on the Planta app. See you next time!